here's a couple of the herbs that I have. I just topped off these basil, and so most of them look a little bit stunted because you can see where I clipped them off. But they're growing really well and they smell great. You've got lots of sage and a little bit of oregano growing here, a little bit of parsley that I just threw in there, and then thyme. I love using thyme when I make chicken noodle soup or really even any roasting of chicken. So I am growing some thyme as well. This was my cilantro that I was just experimenting with. It bolted pretty much immediately. Cilantro is very notorious for that, so I just thought I would try it. No big deal. We'll just buy it at the store. Here's my lemon plant. I still need to get this repotted into a bigger pot. These black ones tend to make the roots get a little warmish, and then also I want it to have a little more room to grow. But I wanted to show you, it's been a little bit cooler in the evenings, and as a result, we are getting some buds. So I may yet see some fruit grow. I've got some there. Got a little one starting down here. Here's another one up here at the top. So stay tuned. We might see some flowers come off of this plant yet this year. The flowers I was growing on the deck still looking great. I love this lavender. I can't wait for it to get even bigger. And then what I want to do once it's really thriving is start saving some of these lavender seeds, or I should say flowers, before they bloom. I can't wait for these to really blow up. You can see lots of little pieces in here are starting to come up. So we're going to be getting more heads, and then I'll be able to preserve more of those buds and get them in maybe some soap or something. Still doing great with these. These are the ones I planted for my seeds. I'm going to be showing you how to do a seed preservation, but see how these seeds, this one's totally dead. It's flopped over. It's all the way brown. I'm going to pick that. And I'm going to take that inside and I'll show you how we pull the seeds out of that to save for next year. That's what these were grown from, were seeds from my own plants from last year. Here's one of those cuttings. I accidentally trimmed the wrong piece on my plant of my tomatoes, and so we just put it in some water, re-rooted it. My daughter planted it, so we're just hanging it out on the deck up here so she can watch it grow. Here's that echinacea that I'm real proud of. I've really had a hard time getting echinacea to grow up on my deck or even from seed. So that's my echinacea. It probably will not bloom at all this year, but it will bloom hopefully next year when it comes back. And then the blueberry bush, nothing new here. You'll see it's starting to get some of that reddish tone because it's been a little bit chillier, in the 50s at night a couple of nights. So he's just going to hang out. There's no more fruit on it, no more flowers on it. We'll have to wait until next year to get more off of this one. Out here at the raspberry patch, oh my goodness, we have so many raspberries out here. The girls have been out here picking every single day, and yet I still have just tons and tons of berries out here. I'm gonna need to come pick these. Let's see, give this one a try. Oh, so good. Slightly tart, but still very sweet. We're gonna pick some of those and make jam out of them. So I'm gonna have to go get something and pick them before the girls get out here and eat them all. So lots and lots of raspberries in here. It looks like a few of my strawberry plants are thinking about having a few more blooms. Those would be the ever-bearing ones. So might have a couple here stray strawberries. And then here is one of those echinaceas that I had planted. The other one hasn't quite fully bloomed yet, but they're going to be beautiful. Okay, we're back down in the main garden here, looking at an update. Today is July 18th. So here is again that potato, still growing. It's starting to get a few little buds on it, but no flowers yet. The onions are all knocked over. I don't know how big they're going to get this year. There were a couple that I had to pull up because they were just dead. You'll see they're just pretty tiny. But I do have a few in here that are a little bigger, so I'm letting them go for a couple more weeks until they really start browning up, and then we'll see what we got. Over here are all of our carrots. And again, the sadness that is the potatoes. They really just, they dried out, and while we were gone for 4th of July, and they never came back. I'm continuing to water them. I did empty one of those buckets out just to see, and there were a few little tubers starting to form. So we're just going to let them do their thing and leave them in there about another month, and then we'll check them out. Here in the front, this is our butternut squash. You can see lots of flowers in there. And we've got some fruit starting to form. There's a couple of them in here I know I saw. There's another one. And now really what my next thing I need to do is help this get trained up the trellis so that it doesn't span out all over the ground. But getting a couple of those starting there. This is just a second planting of that same butternut. Lots of blooms on its way. This one's behind a little bit on growing than the other one I just showed you. Ooh, there's kind of a bigger one in there. So they're coming. There's another one over here. Look at that. So on their way. Over here is that second planting of carrots. These are doing really well. I spread them out a little bit more so there's less packing in. We're just gonna pick these and get what we get. Some of them had started to bolt, so I did pull the ones that were bolting, and the rest of them are leaving there for about another month. And then a couple of my final rescue plants that I thought were gonna die, but I threw them in the ground just to see. So we got a couple of those in here. Here is the corn. It is this one way back here. That one's probably about 7 or 8 feet tall. The rest of them are about 6 feet tall. And we have lots of corn starting on them. So I'll get closer here for you. You can see how big they are. They're definitely not ready to pick yet, but you can see some of this browning happening to these silks. When they're fully brown and dead, that's when you'll know that they're ready to go. So this I would say is about halfway done. About half the size I want them to be. So I'm going to continue to make sure I water them and see what we get this year. Ooh, look, here's a pretty big one back here too. Cool. So we'll see what we get here. Coming down past the corn, here's our giant cherry tomato plant, and we are getting some cherry tomatoes off of it. I gotta get out here with a basket and harvest a few of them, but usually I just let the girls come on out and pick what they want to eat off of these for snacking. I've also got the rest of our peas here. I did pull some of them up, I'll show you that in a minute, but these ones were still looking all right, and there's still some peas on there, so we'll leave these ones up and growing, let the girls snack on those. And then I replanted a few more at the base, so we should get a few more growing later. Now down the middle here, this is where I had my little gem lettuce. We used all we were going to use, so I pulled out the remainder, pulled out the weeds and everything, and I planted carrots in here. So we're going to give those a water and plant those carrots. And then down at the very end down here, that's where I had some peas. I pulled all of those peas. Those were totally done. And I planted a few more pole beans over there. I believe they were Kentucky Wonder. So we're going to see, have those go up this trellis here and see if we can't get a second planting of beans as well. And then this is that spinach, that I was letting it bolt because I want to see if I can't save the seeds from it. So it's really getting pretty tall. Hopefully we'll have something to save here pretty soon. And then, wow, look at this. This is all one big pumpkin plant. This is one of those, again, rescue plants. I thought it was going to die, threw it in the ground anyway. Holy mogoly, look at it. It's all the way down to here. So, to show you though, we've got several fruits in here. And they're, this is about baseball size. There's another one over there. There's some over here. So we're definitely going to get pumpkins this year. No question about that. But I'm sort of just letting it take over this little area here. This is where I had a little bit more walking space and just trimming it up as it gets a little too long, but it goes all the way down here. This is my zucchini plant, and I see here, got a few zucchinis. One of them's definitely ready to pick. Check out my video on making zucchini brownies. If you've been making zucchini bread to try to use up overstocked zucchini in your garden, you're doing it wrong. I said what I said. Zucchini brownies are where it's at. These are our watermelon plants. So you can see we've got one pretty big one here, a couple big ones still down here that have been growing for a while. There's a couple over here. Here's a newer little one over in the middle. And then at this end, we have all of this is cantaloupe. We've got several fruits on here. So here's one, here's another, and another. Lots of little ones starting to form up. A couple smaller ones here. These are like baseball to grapefruit size that are up here on the trellis. And I think the first one that started growing is down here on the ground. You can see it's starting to get some of that scaling that you're used to seeing at the store. And so we're just watching for some of this to brown up a little bit or for it to feel like it's ready to go. But this one I think has a few more weeks left before it's ready. Right next door is another pumpkin plant. Again, I thought it was going to die, but here we are. This one's staying a little bit smaller, so I don't know if this will be a full-size like carving pumpkin or if this is going to be one of those pumpkin pie pumpkins. But there you can see a fruit that's growing on there. In the back here we have our beans. These are still producing. I did mention just a minute ago I'm planting more because I want more, but they are still producing. There are still flowers. These are those purple beans that are bush beans. You can see lots and lots in here. I got to come out and pick again. And then up these trellises, most of these are the Seychelles blend or Seychelles brand. And lots here I need to pick too. I like to freeze these, so getting those all picked will be nice. Here's my random tomato plant that just decided to grow, and I thought, okay, fine. Speaking of tomatoes, going up Tomato Alley here. These are some really big Roma tomatoes that are going to be coming out of here, but they're still all green. I'll just show you around a few of them. Lots of Roma tomatoes. This is a grape tomato. You can see down here at the bottom we have several we got to come out here and pick for grape tomatoes. Here's one of those 4th of July. Those are like a smaller slicing tomato, a little smaller than a baseball. So I'm going to pick some of those. Here are some Romas and San Marzanos that are starting to, I should clarify, this is a Roma. You can tell how rounded it is, versus this is a San Marzano. You see how it's kind of squarish and flattened almost? That is the San Marzano. So we got lots of those, and I use those to make sauce with. Tons and tons and tons of cherry tomatoes on this plant. I mentioned in a former video I kind of mixed up my plants, and usually I try to put my slicers and my pasta sauce or sauce making plants on this trellis, but this one is a cherry and definitely snuck its way in. But lots of tomatoes on there. Need to pick a few of those. Here's some of those bigger, like I think these are Better Boy. So we got some of those for slicers up here, and another 4th of July. So lots and lots and lots of fruit just waiting for it to ripen. All right, hidden in the back of the garden, this is next to the cantaloupe. We have our broccoli. These are the ones that didn't form heads earlier in the year. So here now we're getting some later. I need to figure out which brands I put in here, which ones came up earlier and which ones came up later, because that was nice. I had a few, and now I've got this one, and I've got this one coming in. And this one actually needs to be harvested, so I'll have to come back out here because you can see some of these are just getting ready to bloom, and we want to get it picked before that. And the rest of the plants that I already picked off of, the girls have been coming out here and taking these little side shoots and just snapping them off and eating them. Oops. Better not drop that or I'll be in trouble with those girls because they love their broccoli from the garden. I don't know where it went, so that'll just be our little secret. Don't tell them. But you can see some of those little side shoots coming off. All of these plants have them, so don't get rid of them when you take the big piece off. You're going to get more. They're great for snacking. Also in the back here, oh my goodness, I haven't been back here in a couple days. Look at the zucchini in here. Here's a bigger one. Here's a couple littler ones, but look at this. This one is huge. Huge. Here's another huge one. I got to pick those right away and make, what did you say again? Not zucchini bread, make zucchini brownies. Yum. Shamelessly plugging that one. Here's another one of our questionable plants. I think this is going to be one of our pie pumpkins. Hopefully we get some of those to make pies. Back here we have our beets. It's sort of hard to show you how big they're getting. I'm trying to find one that is easy to see, but we've got some crabgrass back here that needs to be dealt with, so it's sort of hard to see how big these beets are getting. Well, when we pull them, I guess it'll be a surprise. Here's another one of those. We weren't sure what it was. I think this is another pumpkin. Hopefully, again, a pumpkin, like a pie pumpkin. I don't see any fruit yet, but lots of flowers on it. This was also a rescue pickle. We thought this pickle was dead. Well, he's growing, so we'll take it. I always love making pickles out of those cucumbers. Lots of flowers from our onions. I'm real excited to save the seeds from those. We got to wait for them to die all the way down and see the black in them though, so they're not ready yet. And then here we have lots of, again, that dill back here. I never plant dill. It does it all by itself. Here's those sunflowers. No heads yet, really, but you can see they're starting to get tall. Those are the really tall ones. I think they're called Russian mammoth. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. Ooh, look at this. It's just a bunch of wonder out here. I haven't been out here in a little while. This was another rescue cantaloupe. I just threw it in the ground because I had a spot over here. But check it out. We're getting some fruit off of it. So, awesome. I'll take it. These were those extra corn that I just had nowhere to put them. So they're doing all right. They're not doing as well. You can see you can see how tall these ones are. So they're a little shorter than me. And now look how tall these ones are. Way taller. Way taller. And they have more ears on them. So those, we'll take what we can get when we're just trying things. These again are those, these are parsnips actually that just were in the ground and I didn't realize were, and they're growing on their own. First they flower like this, and then after they flower, they get these little pods. Once the pods do dry out, we can go ahead and harvest those and plant them again. So I'm just using those for seed. Same over here. This is a carrot. I've never saved seeds from a carrot before, but we're going to try this here. This random carrot is growing, and here is what we see first is the flowers. And my lovely, lovely hollyhocks. I love hollyhocks. I think they're so beautiful. I put these in the garden just to attract pollinators, and the pollinators love them. They're all various colors. You'll see some deeper pinks that are similar pink. You'll see some that are like a peach and then a pink on the inside. Got some pastels, some whites, just kind of a hodgepodge. And these were from, again, saved seeds from the plants that were planted here probably 30 or 40 years ago. They just keep coming back. So looking great. So that's the tour of the garden out here in the main garden for now. We got a little bit longer to wait, but I'm going to go in and get a basket and get what's already ready to go out of the garden, and I'll show you what I get. All right, we're going to grab these zucchini. I like to pull it by just grabbing up at the stem and twisting. It's sort of hard to show you this because I'm getting whacked in the face by leaves, but just pulling and twisting like that. Look how big that one is. Look how big this one is. Holy moly. Just grabbing and twisting. Oh, this one might be a two-hander. Oh, nope, got it. It's another really big one. And then more around this size is what's best for, dicing them up or cutting them up and eating them fresh. So throw those in. A couple more coming, so don't wait too long before I come back out here, I guess. I'm going to pull this beet because I was checking to see how big they were while I was standing right here where they are. And this one has somebody nibbling on it. So I'm going to pull it. But look at it. Beautiful. Small, but would be good for eating. This one's got some bite marks out of it. I know I chased a rabbit out of here the other day, so better get on those. Make sure to keep those rabbits out. All right, here's that broccoli. I'm just going to grab it down at the bottom and snap her off. Take that in. Beautiful. I'll let this other one go for a while because I think it's still got a little more that it can grow before we harvest. Beans and beans and beans for days. How many beans do you think we're going to get off of here today? Hopefully enough to do some preserving in a larger batch, so let's find out. All right, over here we're looking for pickles. See what we've got. Oop, here's a good one. These are National Pickling. I know this looks kind of small and you're thinking, oh man, how are you going to make anything out of that? Well, I'm looking for pickles because I want to make pickle chips and pickle spears that fit in pint jars. So I don't want them to be huge. We want them to be just like this. Look at that. Perfect. Here's a couple. Looks like there's a few more that are getting started. So we'll give those maybe a couple more days. Make sure we don't have any others that are getting too big here. A couple smaller ones over. Here's that celery again. I think I might actually come out here and take some of this celery. Look at this, it's like bigger than my thumb. It's huge. Might cut it down and see if I can get it to regrow again. But I want to save and preserve some of this maybe in my freezer. So I've got 5 of those plants to deal with here sometime soon. This is my rescue parsley. He got dumped out with the old herbs and thought, well, I'll just start my herbs over. He decided he wanted to grow, so I threw him back in the back of the garden. And over here, look at this. Look at all these peppers. These are looking like they're pretty ready to pick. So I better pick some of these. Yum. I think these are poblanos. Not super spicy, but have a nice smokiness to them, so we can use those in like salsa or in dishes. So pick some of those. Just wanted to show you how well these peppers are growing. So you can see how big it is. Oops. See how big it's getting. These are those cayennes. So waiting for these to get red before we pick those, but those are getting big too. Look how big that one is. These are the orange blaze ones. This is the one plant that I know for sure because I did mark it. These are getting growing there, and you'll see I have a stake in here because it was getting so heavy I needed to help support it. A couple more orange blaze. I think these also are orange blaze. So looking for some color on these before we pick them. And then look at these little jalapenos. Just about ready to pick, maybe in a week or so. And there's another jalapeno right next to it with lots and lots of fruit on it. Salsa season is coming. And we've got this one over here too. This is some sort of banana pepper. I don't remember planting a banana pepper, but I'll have to go back and look at the seed packets I used. They're not spicy. I did bite into them, so they're some sort of maybe banana pepper, and they grow bottom up like that, where the stem is on the bottom. Here's a good example of just a little guy. Stem is on the bottom and it's growing upward instead of downward, like you see on a lot of these ones. So I'll take any peppers I can get. Our family likes peppers and gives lots of flavor. There's another little baby jalapeno plant. Check out this harvest. I ended up getting about a quart of raspberries and a little bit of everything else. So we'll see you again next time when we're back in the garden. The harvesting season is upon us and it's only going to get more. Take care. Bye-bye.